Let the conspiracy theories continue to run wild. Today's topic, Four Seasons San Francisco sold to none other than Blackstone in $130 million deal. Bargain basement prices. And this isn't the only hotel. We've had a number of hotels sold at even cheaper per key, per room unit. I mean, this is wild stuff. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Now, most of the time when we talk about real estate, it's pretty boring. All right, this one's going for this one, this one's going for this. But now we've got Blackstone stepping in a major high-profile deal because this is a Four Seasons in San Francisco. Yeah, major name brand for a big discount price. Has San Francisco, has Seattle, has Los Angeles been absolutely pummeling its street conditions so that these properties get discounted and players like Blackstone can jump on in and get a fire sale? That's the question of the hour, right? Today, we're going to cover the basics of this sale. Meaning, all right, what's the deal? Here we go. Major real estate player is doubling down on San Francisco, marking another sign of momentum in the city's uneven but accelerating hospitality rebound. So we've got a number of big buildings, big commercial buildings, big office complexes, and now we've got a number of hotels. This is our third kind of major hotel that has had a big fire sale and some massive discounts. And what that tells me is we're getting there. We're getting there to that rock bottom. When Blackstone steps in, you know what I mean? That's when you're like, okay, all right. Does somebody know who's writing the playbook here, right? Who is writing the playbook here? Because I feel like some of this stuff is happening in all the West Coast, Best Coast, and East Coast, and Chicago, and Illinois. Just driving down prices so that somebody can step in. And by somebody, and you guys always put in the comments, Blackstone, private equity, right? Big, massive private equity player to step in and just scoop up these amazing, amazing properties for pennies on the dollar. Now, this isn't pennies on the dollar. It's 100 and whatever million, 130 million. But that is a bargain for a Four Seasons hotel in San Francisco. Are you kidding me? I don't care who you are, what's going on, because you don't have to build it. You don't have to build it. You get to go in and make your tweaks and do whatever. Oh, we're going to do efficiencies. All that corporate nonsense that I could care less about, but is what makes a property more profitable, generating more income. That's important. Yeah, that whole profitability thing. Blackstone has closed its acquisition of the 277-room Four Seasons Hotel at 757 Market Street. So much activity on Market Street. Drive those prices down. It's close to the Tenderloin. Drive them down. Just have a bunch of zombies walking around, and then we'll scoop them up for cheap. Is that what's going on? I see your guys' comments. I see you keyboard warriors. Kind of looks like, I'm not going to say no, right? A property long regarded as one of the city's top luxury hotels, the company said Monday. The deal finalized at the end of November is expected to land around $130 million, according to the Wall Street Journal. Even at that price, roughly $470,000 per room, the sale reflects the steep discount environment facing hotel owners across the city. Now, in doing my research for this, I've come up with comps with per key, per room. They go key, how much per key, meaning per room. And anywhere from like $250,000 per room up to $600,000 and well beyond $600,000 per room. We just haven't had any normal sales in a long time. We don't know. So your range right now is, two and change up to 6 and change in the discounted environment. In what little research I was able to come up with on kind of that basis, which is your per unit comparison. So at $470 for a Four Seasons, I don't know if you've ever stayed at a Four Seasons, but they're nice. I typically don't stay in nice hotels because I just don't appreciate it. I don't care. I'm not going to go to the restaurant. I'm not going to go to the bar in the lobby and, get a $25 Pilsner. I'm just not. That's not what I do. If it has a cool, hotel pool, that's one thing. Especially when I was a kid, my brother and I, hey, what's the pool look like? Because mom and dad would want to just crash out in the hotel room and we'd go down to the pool and just spend hours, dicking around in the pool. So $470,000 per room, sale reflects a steep discount environment. And Blackstone steps in. Shocker. Are you shocked? No. I'm beginning to believe all you guys that are like, this is all by plan. Valuations for major properties have fallen sharply in recent years amid slow to recover tourism, rising insurance costs, and tough lending conditions. Yeah, but it's the street conditions that have pushed everybody out of San Francisco, pushed everybody out of Seattle. Microsoft moved its big conference. They're like, we have concerns about the... We have concerns about the area that we would have our convention in, the convention center in Seattle. We have concerns because you got a bunch of, folded up zombies on fentanyl running around. It's wild. There's a new homeless encampment, not new, but recently reestablished homeless encampment with backdrop with the Space Needle. I need to get down there. This weekend, I think I'm going to go down there. I got to go over to Seattle anyway and check things out. And it's supposed to have just this homeless encampment on this private property with the backdrop of the Space Needle. Doesn't that just say Merry Christmas, Seattle? City's largest hotel complex, the nearly 3,000 room Hilton Hotel Square in Park 55, recently sold for $408 million. Here's the number that's interesting. 75% drop from the 2016 appraisal. So what we had is these numbers just skyrocketing. I mean, they were moving. They were going up, up, up. These were great investments until a little thing called the pandemic happened. And then everybody just, you can't have a convention. All that got cut. And then street conditions got terrible in West Coast, Best Coast, big cities. Because, just a while the CDC said don't clear out the homeless encampments, and then crime started to just explode. So you had homelessness and crime and street-level conditions just deteriorated after 2020. And they still haven't recovered. I think Daniel Lurie in San Francisco has done a good job, and I think you are starting to see some of that. All right, maybe we're getting down to that bottom because people are buying these things for bargain basement prices. And when Blackstone steps in, that's when you kind of know, right? That's when you're like, didn't see that one coming. Still, investors like Blackstone insist the market is finally turning a corner. This town has, of course, been through a brutal 5-year plus. San Francisco has. Portland is still. Seattle is still. But, in San Francisco, their mayor has done a thing where, hey, you want to get permanent supportive housing, you got to do a drug test in Proposition F. And they've been relentless on sweeping encampments. Now Seattle's got a new mayor who doesn't want to sweep encampments. Just, let the people live. They're just, they just lost one paycheck and they're down on their luck. And, just a bunch of socialist nonsense, just literally jibber jabber. Like, what are you talking about? Whereas Daniel Lurie, I think, I'm not saying what he's done is perfect, but San Fran's going in the right direction. And you've got actual sales taking place, meaning you got investors coming in saying, all right, that makes sense. $130 million for a Four Seasons? Oof, I'll take 2. Major companies like Anthropic and OpenAI growing. So you got a massive AI also that's been there that is now exploding because AI. I am using, I don't know, what am I using? 3 different AI, deals. Hey, Sean, put your title into here and it'll generate, hey, Sean, do your search here and Yeah, and it works. It's just you got to work out how does this all go, and it's a lot. But San Francisco is on the leading edge of that. So you've got AI companies coming in, taking down office space, which is interesting, right? Because AI, everything is on the keyboard. You could have everybody working remotely. And that's been another one of the major issues is that everybody's working remotely and people don't really have big conventions anymore like they used to. They're not dragging everybody wherever because they've gotten so used to doing everything via Zoom, right? Major companies, the tourism is going to come back. Very simply, buy some real estate here. Okay, but the whole Tenderloin thing has not been solved. You've got the mall, Westfield Mall, basically went into default and went back to its lender, and they're trying to figure out what to do there. You've still got a lot to work through in a city like San Fran. You've got a lot to work through in most major cities because all of a sudden, whether Republican or Democrat led, because all the businesses went home and so many of them realized, let's see, the bottom line is if I don't have that real estate in my, on my books, I can save how much? And we can still operate efficiently. City officials are making the same pitch. San Francisco is coming back and major investments like this one to Blackstone. Yeah, to Blackstone. Huh. Weird. Who knew? Right? Who knew? Visitors are returning. Conferences are coming back to San Fran, and it's a good time to bet on our city. Interesting. After you drove it into the ground, due to policy, hey, what do we do with the homeless? How about another one of my podcasts today is going to be our Attorney General here in the state of Washington is suing HUD because HUD is saying, hey, in order to get HUD money, federal money, for permanent supportive housing for homeless, we're going to require you to have them get help, meaning we're going to require you states that take this money to actually make sure that these people are getting the help that they need. Washington's Attorney General says, oh, no go. No, we can't have that. I mean, that's terrible. Washington state has literally spent billions and billions and billions of dollars. And like in King County in Seattle, our homelessness has gone up by like 68% since 2022. It's just spiked because we've built a system here that doesn't work because it's based on housing first, like a lot of what San Francisco has. But Proposition F in San Francisco said, hey, if you're going to get some money from us, you got to do a UA. You got to do a urinalysis, which is a step in the right direction. It is something for something, right? Whereas in Washington state, we're just mentally, you know what here. And they think that you pluck somebody off a homeless encampment with the Space Needle in the background that's been doing FETI for 42 straight days, put them into housing, and, magically they're going to get sober and get a job and, reassimilate into society. Not really happening. That is not really happening. Blackstone's $130 million Four Seasons buy shifts the hotel ownership constraints in San Francisco. This article is interesting. It kind of breaks down buying location-based operational control to unlock real estate value. A high physical value asset in a constrained urban hospitality market where development scarcity amplifies real estate appreciation potential. What does that mean? You've got no ability to build unless you tear something down. You're buying an existing, so all that money that it would have taken to build a physical structure can now be plowed into optimizing whatever it is you do with a hotel to make it more efficient. I don't even know. I don't even care. I stayed in a Marriott-based Aloft down in Oklahoma City, and I have stayed, it's the Aloft Quail Springs. You guys owe me a free hotel room for that little plug there. I stayed there, I think, 10 days after they opened in whatever year, and I have stayed there, I think, 4 times now. I've stayed at a couple of other Marriotts in the area. Ooh, no go. Hard no go. The Marriott Aloft in Quail Springs, Oklahoma City. That's the one for me. But enough of that. And it's a nice hotel. But, all hotels are kind of the same. You know what I mean? But Four Seasons, those are nice. I mean, they are just, oof, this is fancy. We're wearing fancy pants now. Here's one of the other sales that we talked about. Hilton Union Square and Park 55 sold for $408 million. And based on number of hotel rooms, right? Though were previously worth $1.5 billion. 408 down from 1.5 billion. Because business has been so bad in San Francisco. You drove prices down so hard. Everybody left. There's this big promise of AI coming back. Okay. All right. Okay. I can see some of that. But not this, the Hail Mary Savior pass that everybody thinks it's going to be. So does somebody know something that we don't know? Probably, right? Like what's the deal here? Hey, doesn't that seem like a big discount? So you've got all these big corporations, institutional investors, private equity, scooping up these properties left and right. And I've been telling you, they're getting bargain deals. I mean, these are screaming deals. But you got to be able to put together $408 million in a market that has just been absolutely torn apart. You know, due to street policy and public policy, and you had a bunch of Looney Tunes, running San Francisco. What could go wrong? I mean, at one point in time, you had Gavin Newsom, right? Just running the city into the ground. What could go wrong here? We're just now learning the price of the hotel. $408 million, 1.5 before. San Francisco Square hospitality industry was already in the dumps in mid-2023. And the city's largest hotel, what we're talking about, saw their owners default on a $723 million mortgage. So this is the reset. This is that massive reset. And now, even if you take the $600 to $800 a night hotel room price and drop that down to $400 or $500 for a Sheraton, not a Sheraton, for a Four Season, you can make money. You got that reset. You got a $1 billion building that's now worth $200 million. Boom. Even if you got a bunch of debt on it, $100 million in debt, $150 million in debt, you can make those numbers work. This is the big reset. Massive reset. Here's another one. Park Hotels and Resorts sells Hyatt-centric Fisherman's Wharf for $80 million. 316 room property sold to an undisclosed buyer. Always love those. Who's that? As part of the park strategy to offload non-core hotel assets. Sale price of Hyatt-centric Fisherman's Wharf is valued at $253,000 per key. So it's a Hyatt. It's not the highest of quality. Probably needs some updating, needs some remodeling. Representing 64 times the hotel's projected 2024 unit of income measurement, right? It's like, okay, is that good or bad? The $253,000 per key is on the lower end of this range. And you're going to have much lower because you're going to have properties that aren't name brand, that don't have kind of the branding that a Hyatt would have. And so there's going to be that. But what we're talking about here, we're talking about 3 sales that are pretty significant, and they're way, way discounted. With our most recent one, Blackstone just picked it up, just said, thank you, sir. May I have another? Some wild stuff. I mean, you guys have been predicting this for years. Here it is now, and nobody seems to be batting an eye. Blackstone just picked one up, and it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Doesn't this seem like a game plan? Total game plan? I mean, I'm really going down the whole conspiracy theory of this is all planned, this is all happening for a reason. Maybe it is. Because, we had the plandemic. Yeah, we were told that was, came from a bat meat market next door to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I mean, doesn't this seem just crazy? It almost seems too hard to believe. And yet, have we seen this before? Absolutely. Institutional investors, big money picking up properties, institutional investors picking up housing across the United States. Yeah, now we got a housing supply. Weird. That's strange. Now you're going to have a handful of big investors owning all the hotels. Is that what's going to happen? Are they trying to force from smaller ownership groups to bigger? Is that more control? I mean, more concentration of wealth? Probably. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all, because this is a pay-to-play market. You know? I mean, it's, you work all your life, you invest, and, you do all that good stuff, and then, rug gets pulled out from you. You just, Blackstone comes in and, we'll take it. I'll write you a check. We'll stroke you a check. I think they said the deal got put together in November and it's going to close before the end of the year. They are stroking a check for that bad boy. There is no financing. There is no feasibility study. There is no building inspection. There are no contingencies on this bad boy at all. We'll take it. Because they ran the numbers and they said, oh, yeah, 4 seasons. Oh, San Francisco. Oh, take it. Got any more? Got any more? Is there any more? Yeah, that's what's going on. It's wild stuff. And it's happening. I mean, yeah, you can Google this for yourself. Right out in the open, Blackstone buys this. And we've seen this game plan before. So interesting. Will we see this in other cities? Will we see this happen in downtown Seattle? Will we see it in Portland? We've seen Portland, but the ownership changes in Portland. Even Blackstone, I haven't seen snag up anything. Big Pink in Portland was snagged up by a local car dealership guy that's done really, really well over the years. He snagged that. And, that was one of their biggest buildings. And then I think it was also another, maybe it was a Seattle group that bought another one of the big high rises in Portland. But you haven't seen the institutional investors, because even Blackstone doesn't want to buy Portland, because they're like, oh. Whereas at the pricing here in San Francisco, with the trajectory of what's happening with San Francisco, which I would say is closer to the bottom and closer to getting back on top of things, if there is such a thing with street conditions and proximity to the Tenderloin that you can have, and the whole work from home. But again, you've got that AI coming into San Fran. You don't have that in Portland. You don't have that in Seattle. So you're kind of stuck with what you got, which is Seattle is just brain dead. Hiring a socialist that's going to stop the sweeps, going to do a bunch of stuff, going to tax all big corporations 10 ways from Sunday. And that's also on a state level in Washington state. They want to do all kinds of taxes because they've got all these ridiculous social programs that they can't afford because all of their funding is being constricted. It's not there. You don't have the federal funding from the pandemic anymore. You don't have the money from the downtown core because you've got sales like we're talking about here. You want to talk about a comp? Let's see. You got the 4 seasons for $130 million. All right. There's your data point. There is your primo data point. You're now at 53 a key? There you go. Every other hotel owner, I'd like a discount on my taxes, please. Here's my appeal of 4 seasons. Boom. Because my hotel isn't as nice as that. I got this many rooms. It's worth this. One of my other podcasts today is going to be a shocking deal. Cook County, Illinois. You've got people there that their taxes have gone from, and these are like not on expensive homes. These are not highly assessed homes. You've got taxes going from like 10 grand to 19 grand, like that, because the downtown core in Chicago, ain't nobody there. And what's going on is sales like this. They're fire sales, dropping those values. So all that revenue that would normally come in from the downtown core is no longer there. It's not there. And those buildings are empty and they're not generating all the money they used to. So somebody's got to pay. So you got taxpayers looking at $20,000 tax bills on, say, a $300,000 home. Maybe it's $350,000. Who knows, right? I mean, one of those things. But just absolutely, is that planned? Big institutional investors going to come through Chicago, buy up those homes because people can't afford their taxes now? I'll be podcasting that if that's the case as well. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.